The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com is brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
Okay, so we have our 1200 series planter. We've reassembled our seed meter, ready to go, start getting ready to go to the field. And on our row units, we want to visually inspect to make sure that things are still in good shape and ready to go. So first thing we want to check, we pulled off our gauge wheel here just to give us a clean line of sight into our opening wheels and firming point area. So things we want to check, make sure our opening wheels are still in good shape. We're not don't have nicked edges. Everything's still good and sharp. We still have good contact between the two discs. That the bearings are still in good shape and still fairly easy to turn. Our scraper is still hard against the disc and starting to see any fatigue cracking or anything on the holder. If all that's in good shape, nothing needs to be replaced there. We can move down to our firming point. Ensuring that our firming point is still in good shape. We do have a gauge that you can use to check to make sure that the firming point is not worn out. If it's still in good shape, of course it can stay in place. Our seed boot is still in place and do not showing any signs of wear. Moving back to our closing wheels, making sure that everything's still turning freely and in good shape, and removing. Making sure that the discs are not nicked and cut up, making sure everything's still good and tight. And back to our press wheel, making sure that it's still turning freely. The chevrons are all still on the outside. Everything is still in good shape. Once that is done, and we've checked all our row units, making sure that all of our worn parts have been replaced, we're pretty much ready to go to the field at this point. Okay, so we've got our planter in the field and we're ready to start planting, but there's a few last minute checks we want to make before we just drop it down and start going forward. First thing we have to do is make sure that it's level. So making sure it's level is a nice and easy thing to do. We drop our planter down down into planting position and basically check our tongue. And if our tongue is level, then we know we're in pretty good shape and good to go. If our tongue's out of level, then we'll want to adjust up or down on our 3-point hitch to raise or lower the tongue to make sure it's level. Once that's set and you have a visual indication that the tongue and the planter is level, then we can start moving to the back and putting some seed in the ground and understanding where we are at and if any more adjustments need to be made. Okay, so we've leveled our planter, and in order to make sure, the whole goal of this is to put the seed in the ground. So we want to make sure the seed is actually getting there. A good trick to do, get yourself a ratchet strap here, tie up your closing system. You don't have to do it on every row. 1 or 2 is fine. Just tie up your closing system to lift it up off the ground. And then when you drop your planter down and start to pull it forward, you've got a nice clear indication on your one row to understand what your planting depth is set at. With a tool like this, a seed picker tool or a seed depth measurement tool, very quickly and easily get an understanding of how deep your seed is going. For corn, typically we want to be about 2 inches. So drop your planter down, pull forward, use your tool, measure your seed trench depth. If it's too shallow or too deep, make your adjustment on this row unit and try again. Once you have it set where you want it to be, check your number on the side here as to where you have your test row set at. In this particular case, we're set at number 10. I now know that I can go set every row unit at number 10 and I'll be at the same depth across my entire planter. We want to do this every time we go to the field. This isn't a once-a-year operation. So we have our seed trench made. We go back with our depth tool. We pull back the soil that's fallen in, if any. Check to make sure that the seed is in the proper location in our spacing that we're looking for, depending on our population, and that it's at the right depth. Once that's established, you have it locked in that you're at the right depth, you're at the right spacing. You can go ahead and adjust all your row units the same, remove any of your ratchet straps that you've tied up your closing systems with, and at that point, you're ready to go.